According to the review Traditional Chinese Medicine in Lung Cancer Treatment by Ji Chao-si and colleagues, published in the journal Molecular Cancer, we're about to look at an ancient practice that's getting some serious modern scientific attention. The big question is, could traditional Chinese medicine actually be a new ally in the fight against one of the world's toughest diseases? Okay, let's dive right in. First off, we need to understand the scale of this problem, because it is just immense. As the paper points out, lung cancer is a massive global health challenge. It holds the terrible distinction of having the highest incidence and mortality rates of any cancer in the world. So that's the critical backdrop. It's why researchers are always looking for better approaches. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to walk through 5 key sections to really get what this research is telling us. We'll start with the current challenges, then explore TCM's very different way of thinking, look at the hard evidence, understand the science behind it, and then wrap up by thinking about the future of treatment. All right, section 1, the lung cancer challenge. Before we can even talk about new solutions, we've got to be real about the hurdles that patients and doctors are up against with today's therapies. You see, the review makes it clear that even with amazing advances in medicine, things like targeted therapies and immunotherapy, we still have these huge obstacles. You've got drug resistance, where a treatment that was working just stops. You've got severe side effects that can absolutely wreck a person's quality of life. And then there's the constant fear of the cancer spreading or metastasizing, or just coming right back after you thought you'd beaten it. And that brings us to section 2, because when you're facing those kinds of challenges, it makes sense to look at things from a completely different angle. And that's where this ancient, holistic approach comes in. So, what are we really talking about when we say traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM? Well, it's a medical system that's been around for thousands of years, and its core idea is that the body is one big interconnected system. So instead of just launching an all-out attack on the tumor, the goal is to restore the body's natural balance, to improve the patient's overall quality of life, and, this is key, to strengthen the body's own ability to fight back. Now this, right here, this shows the huge philosophical difference. Conventional therapy is laser-focused, find the tumor cells and destroy them, period. But TCM, as the paper puts it, has this concept of living with the tumor. The focus shifts. It's about making the patient stronger, restoring harmony, and basically making the body a much less friendly place for cancer to grow. And this whole philosophy is really guided by 2 main principles. The first is futsing, which basically means strengthening your body's own resistance, your good energy. The second is kuaixie, which is about eliminating the bad stuff, the pathogens, in this case, the cancer. It's this amazing dual strategy. Build up your own army while you're fighting the invader. Okay, so that's the philosophy. But the real question is, does it actually work? Let's move into section 3 and look at what the clinical evidence says when you put this into practice with real patients. And we're not just talking about theory here. The paper points to a huge meta-analysis that crunched the numbers from 92, that's 92, separate randomized controlled trials. That is a massive body of evidence. And these weren't tiny studies either. Altogether, the data they looked at covered 7,728 lung cancer patients. When you're working with numbers that big, you can start to see some really clear patterns. And here's what they found. When you combined TCM with standard chemotherapy, the results were better across the board. The tumor response was significantly higher. That means more tumors were shrinking. The patient's quality of life went up, which they measured using something called the Karnofsky Performance Status. It's basically a scale of how well a person can handle their normal daily activities. And get this, their immune function actually got stronger, with more of those crucial defensive T cells showing up to fight. So that just leads to the next obvious question, right? How? How is it actually doing this? Section 4 pulls back the curtain and looks at what's happening on a molecular level. The review basically boils down the lab research into 4 main ways that compounds from TCM seem to fight lung cancer. They can help kill cancer cells, reverse drug resistance, stop cancer from spreading, and fine-tune the body's immune response. So let's take that first one, making cancer cells die. This is so fascinating. It turns out TCM compounds can flip on several of the natural self-destruct switches that are built into our cells. And it's not just one method. They can trigger different types of cell death, like apoptosis, which is a very clean, programmed cell death, or even ferroptosis, which uses iron to cause destruction. It's like having a whole toolkit of ways to tell a cancer cell its time is up. Okay, and this second one, this is a huge deal for patients.
reversing drug resistance. Tumors are smart, They figure out how to pump out chemo drugs or find workarounds for targeted therapies. What this paper explains is that compounds in TCM can actually interfere with those escape plans, making the conventional drugs start working again.
So where does all this leave us? Well, that brings us to our final section, the future of treatment, and what it looks like when you combine this ancient wisdom with our powerful modern medicine. The authors of the review really say it best. They wrap up by highlighting how important it is to integrate these two worlds, to combine the holistic, body-strengthening approach of TCM with the sharp precision of modern oncology. It's not about one versus the other. It's about creating something new, something more powerful, together. And that leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. The evidence in this paper really suggests that the future of cancer care might not be some single new magic bullet. Instead, it might be a smart, thoughtful blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. It's an approach that doesn't just fight the disease harder, but also supports the whole person more completely. Because after all, the goal isn't just to extend life, it's to improve it.